and welcome to One on One. Today we'll be talking about investing, and my guest today was a media person before she became this financial coach, mogul, money talking woman. So her name is Solafunmi Sosanya-Lawal. She describes herself as an investor 24/7. She's a media professional and has read over 350 books and thousands of articles on investing and companies. She has coached thousands to begin their investment journey and truly believes that everyone has the potential to be stupendously wealthy. That's speaking my language. When she's not investing, she works with one of the biggest tech companies in the world. Shola, for me, it's so good to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy that I was able to join you.
Yeah.
And thanks for reaching out. I'm always happy to talk to women who are doing amazing things, and I think you're doing amazing.
And you're a woman doing amazing things as well.
Thank you very much.
So my first question to you is, even though you still describe yourself as a media professional, so Shola, you're into the media, producing shows and everything, you know, and then you've just made the switch. So please tell me, how did that switch happen?
So my life has been a fun one of switches.
Okay.
Backstory, and I don't say this a lot to a lot of people, is that I actually studied nursing. I have 4 degrees in nursing.
Oh, wow.
That's what I studied in university. I spent 5-6 years studying all of this. And then I remember working in the hospital for about 3 months, and I was like, this is not what I'm going to do. Like, I just don't find this as stimulating as possible.
So how did you get to nursing in the first place?
So I studied nursing. My mom
Why
was
did
like,
you choose to do
you know,
nursing?
parents. My mom lives abroad. She's a nurse. And she's like,
You're
you
making
have to
money.
do nursing. You make money. People will like you. You're very nice. You'll be a good nurse. So anyway, I did that. And after working for about 3 to 6 months exactly, I saw an ad for the previous Nigeria's first 24-hour news station then, which was NN24, and then I applied, and the spokesman, they're like, look, we really like you. We think you should come produce and talk about health stuff, lifestyle stuff.
Sure.
So I joined, and that's how I started my journey into media. And I was there for about a year, 2.5 years thereabout. And I progressed from just doing TV, lifestyle to casting the news to doing entertainment, really. They liked that I could do a lot of entertainment. So I moved into doing entertainment and being head of the entertainment assignment desk before I moved on from there to join Mnet. Okay. Now, Mnet was the fun journey. I started out producing shows like Jara, 53 Extra, worked on Channel O, and then moved on from there to what they call a commissioning editor. So started to commission movies, series, so things like The Voice Nigeria, the first season that we all really loved. I commissioned that. Series like Hush, worked with quite a number of producers. So that's what I did for a couple of years. Big Brother, Africa, all of those, we commissioned those shows. Before I moved on from there and then joined Viacom, now Paramount. At Viacom, what I did was I was head of MTV and MTV base for Africa. So I was head of the content and the editorial bit. So channels like BET, Comedy Central, the Nickelodeon channels, MTV base, and all of those were the channels that I looked after. And I did that for about 5 years plus before joining my present company, which is YouTube. So it's been a journey of different media stuff. So from production, from actual production, from being in front of the camera to moving behind the camera to now being a commissioning executive, and then moving on to lead channels, and now in the tech world. It's just all been a journey of media, broadcast, depending on the forum you like it.
Did you do courses while you were doing?
Definitely. I would proudly say I did over 40 courses
in
the journey. I got an MBA, so I did quite a few things just to upgrade myself. But I think the biggest thing that I hope people take away is that it's that drive and the willingness to learn and the experience. Never being shy to be one to learn, and I still continue doing courses. You know,
it reminds me of a video I saw recently, the beginning of this year, by Les Brown about how you should constantly stay hungry. So now let's talk about this switch from the media to becoming this finance coach. Yes.
Okay. So true story. What happened was, after working for about 6-7 years in media, first with Mnet, and then moving on to my other company, which is Paramount then, I realized that, look, I was doing well in media. I mean, I wasn't earning badly, but what was I putting aside? And I'm one of those hustlers. I'm sure a lot of us know women, Nigerian women. So I'd sold everything: hair, shoes, clothes. I'd even owned trucks. I mean, those 15-ton trucks that you see on the road. Yes, I owned about 2 or 3 in all of the business I was doing. I just found out that it took away from my corporate life. I had to be chasing people. I had to be monitoring all of those things. I figured there has to be a simpler way to make money. And that's how I delved into investing. So that's how I started reading on how could I save? How can I invest? How can I get passive income? Something that doesn't require me every day sitting and monitoring people and shouting on the phone and going to meet suppliers and traveling to China, all of these things. I really wanted something that was easier. And that's how I came about investing. And so initially, when I started investing, buying stocks, buying bonds, but I was reading for myself. And all the reading was for myself, just because I wanted to be rich. I wasn't doing it for anyone. But then my friends would see me read this thing, or they would want to make a financial decision. I'll be like, that's a bad decision, or that's not a good thing to do. And they would be like, what do you mean? And I would explain why. And then I would go out. I remember when I was pregnant with my first son, and I was at the ultrasound guy, and the guy looked at me and I was like, you have a 3D ultrasound machine, why are you not using it? And he says, oh, it's fault, it's 1 million naira to fix it and I can't afford it. I'm looking at the guy like, what do you mean you can't? I said, hold that money, where would I get it? That he's bought it, but to send it in, and so he's a millionaire. So I like, do you know if you save 3,000 naira every day, you'd be able to make, this money in less, in how long? And so the man looked at me, he said, God sent you. I said, God? He said, because I was paying, I think, about 5,000. And he had like 4 people outside who were doing the same. So the guy looked at me and said, and he actually bought the machine and named the machine after me, Solafunmi. Wow. He was so happy because it was such a simple thing to solve the problem he wanted. And that's how I started sharing with people. So I began putting it on my personal page, and then people started reaching out and say, how do you buy? You mean you buy stocks of Apple in this Nigeria? How do you do this? How do you do this? So I started sharing, and then I just transitioned from there, from my personal page into a page. And honestly, that's how it blew up. That's how people started asking, and then I started putting it together. I realized the biggest thing for people in Nigeria is not that they don't want to learn, it's that people find financial learning too complex.
Yes.
So it just sounds like machines and not machines. It just sounds complex, technical spreadsheets, all of this story. Whereas what I learned, because I'm not a finance person, I mean, if you were ever going to look at my background, it's from studying microbiology and all of these crazy courses that we did in my nursing life. So the way I learned it was to learn it and to be able to simplify it. And that's how I'm able to use it. And I feel like tons of us, 99% of people who are learning about investing or saving and budgeting and all of these things I talk about, they're people like me who don't have that finance background. So I understand the language. I understand if you show a spreadsheet and how I will be like, what is this? Yes, like, I don't understand all these numbers. Whereas someone who is into accounting and finance will not see that. They'll just, this is very easy now. Whereas me and you, we don't see it that way. Okay. So that's how I've learned to do finance. And that's how Wealth Motley came about. It's really about simplifying everything and letting you understand that it's not as hard as it looks. All those numbers, all of those things they call, all the sticker symbols, all of those things, it's not as hard. You just need to understand it like a layman would. And that's how Wealth Motley started. And people liked the fact that I stuck to that core of teaching in a very simple, relatable way that you see that it's not as hard. And any single Tom, Dick, and Maria can actually invest.
Oh, wow. That's just a fantastic story. So I just wanted to find out from you how, I love how you simplify. So one of the things, of course, your glasses, the color text and everything. So it just really, it draws you in and then light to the viewer. So for example, like ETF, when it's on your page, I'm like, okay, I always find out, okay, what's ETF and all of those things. So but one of the things I like about financial literacy now, I don't know whether it's just a Nigerian thing. Most of the faces of financial literacy have been women. So you have Shola, you have yourself, you have Sosanya-Lawal for Money Africa. Do you think that there's, this is just, do you think that there's something particular about women and, investing and financial literacy? Oh,
absolutely. And I think it just comes from the fact that a lot of people have grown up with parents or with mothers who were not financially they were not the muscle of the family. They were not the financial strength, and they really had to rely on their parents, on their husbands for a lot of things. Funny enough, in my own case, my mom has always been a hustler. She's always done businesses and all of those things. So it's not something, and I find that we are relegated almost when it comes to knowledge of finances. I honestly, as much as I love that it's women that a lot of people target with this financial information, I target both. The reason is this: if the guy is financially sound, If the wife is any man that is really financially sound will want his wife to do the same, because you're doubling the income. Do you see? So that's one thing. And I like that here there's a lot of women. And it's not only here in Nigeria. Also across Africa, I'm beginning to see a lot of strong women who are coming out to talk about finances and simplifying it for women like themselves. Nigeria particularly is one of those places where in my community, the people that I see the most out of, say, thousands that we've had that's come through us, over 95% were women.
Oh, wow.
And the women will go and call their husbands, their boyfriends to come. It's normally not the men. It's the women that come first. That shows you that there's something about women that want to learn, that want to grow, that want to do better, that want to ensure that their lives are better. And I like that we put ourselves out there to do those things. And I respect all the strong women. Shola Deshaki is my church colleague. We always meet in church every morning, and we get a chance to talk and quickly just refine. That same thing with Tosi and quite a number of other ladies who are doing the same thing. I think it's just being that we want to target women first, but I think in essence, when you train a woman, you train a community. When you talk to women about it, and when women stand up and talk, I feel like people listen. You know, it's not the norm for a man. You know, it's not the norm to see a woman who come out and talk about things like this. So I think people listen. So it's a good one. And there are a lot of other younger women who are also coming out and starting to talk about financial literacy, which is a good thing. I think it's all just consolidating information and people actually listening and practicing those things. I'm not seeing that just content that's created and put out.
Fantastic. We're going to ask you about children, because everybody goes on about how Warren Buffett started when it was 9 years old or 11 years old. How do we get to begin to teach children financial literacy to make it simple terms that they can now become part of their lives?
Absolutely. If in a perfect world, I would love that financial literacy was included from primary school in the curriculum. It's as simple as that. We would change our generation if kids were taught financial literacy from the time they were 6, 7. And it can be as simple as telling a story that has to do with finance. It's as simple as telling them, this is what you want, this is what you need. Your needs are more important than your wants. So you want to fix your needs first, and you have something coming left, then you go for your wants. It's about telling them in a storybook. And actually, I was so passionate about this that I recently wrote a series of books with my husband, about 5 books, and it's called different titles. We have Solafunmi's Cosmic Savings Adventure, Solafunmi's Cosmic Real Estate Odyssey. So different things that teach children different things about financial literacy. So a book that talks about saving and budgeting, one that speaks about real estate, one that talks about insurance in simple, kids, learnable language. Think of, proper storybook with fun covers, fun pictures, all of those things. That at the end of the day, the child would have something that reminds them, and questions, worksheet at the end of each chapter where it teaches them, okay, so what did you learn? Now, why do you save? Why do you do things like that? I feel like if we incorporate training into our children from primary to secondary to university level, a lot of the things we see today, we won't see them. There won't be people flossing on the ground. Why? Because they've learned that that's not the way. If people are flossing and they really have the money, there won't be people finishing their work and buying handbags of 100K when they earn 150K. Because now they've learned and they understood, and it's been ingrained into them from when they were children that you don't do like this, you don't spend like this. And you know what that would transition into? It would transition into a world where people understand the use of money. It would transition into young people like that growing up and becoming presidents and leaders and senate leaders and co. And they understand the management of money, the management of resources, because they learnt it. It is ingrained in them, like English language from when they were kids. So that's the whole essence. And I feel like this is the first time I'm actually talking about the books. Hopefully we release them in the next couple of weeks, and people can buy them on Seller, on Amazon and all. And I promise that your kids would get and understand things from it. And it's the first of quite a number of different range of children's book. I'm passionate about it because I see that I can feel my son looks at me and he now understands it. My son is 8 and I have a couple of other younger kids, but he's the oldest that's with us at home, and he's like, he understands mommy saying we're buying stocks of Apple, and it's like, yes, what other stock does mommy love? Oh, mommy loves Alibaba. Oh, why are we not spending this? That's because we need to save. We don't just do like that. Why are we putting money money in this. That's because we're investing it so that in the future it becomes bigger. What are you see him with this huge piggy bank, and he says any money he gets, he says, oh, mommy, can I put 4,000 if you give me 5,000? Mommy, can I put 4,000 in my piggy bank? Yes. And then I'll take 1,000 and you can take me to the mall and I can play the games. Beautiful.
Oh, nice.
So it's simple things like that. And these are
Very
actual
nice.
conversations. It's simple things like that that you start to teach the child and they start to understand, and you ingrain it into their stuff. That's why I'm passionate about it. And I feel like it's such a gap we need to fill now. It's not only about teaching adults how to invest and save and budget. It's about getting them to transfer that knowledge as fast as possible now
into their children.
the younger ones.
Interesting. I can feel your passion. So now let's talk about investing in Nigerian stocks. A lot of people are not encouraged. I know that, yes, there was a crash all over the world, and then the Nigerian stock exchange, I'm not the expert, so you are the expert. But every time now, because there are a lot of foreign, I won't say foreign apps, but there are a lot of apps now where you can invest abroad. But many people are not looking towards Nigerian stocks. Why is this so?
So if I'm being honest with you, Nigerian stocks are actually doing great, by the way. I have a few that I've done over the years, and they've done well. Now, the problem is this. Historically, the Nigerian stocks have not done great. I remember as a child growing up in secondary school, and there were all of these different IPOs that were happening, and people were buying those stocks. And today they're worth nothing. But those companies don't exist anymore. It happens outside the world like that. But just because here there's not been a lot of automation or tech-inspired reform in that system, a lot of people are just now warming into it, or there's not a lot of information available about Nigerian stocks. So people don't sort of go there in the first instance.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? And then remember because I'm sure you probably know your mom or your auntie or your uncle or someone who bought stocks, Nigerian stocks, and they don't know what's happening with it now.
Yeah.
And they are now saying, oh, where can I go and get my dividend? Oh, they say we're not getting e-dividend somewhere or something. So all of those things didn't encourage a lot of people.
Yes.
I have had people who've come to us, which are companies, banks, and all of those things, who's worked with us at Motley, and who are now sort of making the life easier for people to buy those shares and buy all of those things now in Nigeria market. So people are buying Nigerian stocks, not as much as foreign ones, and for good reason. One of the biggest reasons is inflation. If I bought a stock in Nigeria now or I bought it last year, 2 years ago, when I bought, let's say, 100,000 naira shares. Even if that stock has made 20% last year, this year, now is worth 140, which is 40% growth, which is not bad. 140,000 naira. How useful is that in this economy? Because inflation has effectively eroded everything I bought, just because the currency is in naira, not because the company is not doing well or the stock didn't do well, but just because the overall currency has made my money or my gain essentially useless. Because whatever I could buy 2 years ago with 100K, I definitely cannot buy it now with the same amount, with even 140K. Plus, if I put my money in dollars in that time, the value will be vastly different. Yeah, I remember when we started buying Nigerian stocks, one of the first US stocks, one of the first companies that opened up was Bamboo. One of those companies, I don't want to mention names because I'm sure you understand. I'm sure you don't want that on detail. So one of these new apps opened up in 2019, very late 2009, November, December, when they came up. I remember dollar was 350. I remember buying shares for the first time then. I was like their number 0001 customer. I remember. So, and when I was buying this, a lot of my friends were like, dollar is 350. You better wait for it to fall before you go and buy all these stocks. I'm like, you guys, I'm not waiting for anything. I'm buying stocks every single month through my DCA method. I'm not stopping and all of those things. Today, dollar is 700 and something. Do you see? And that is how important it is to invest. So even if I had not made money all this while, my naira is still as grown astronomically because all of my stocks were in dollars compared. So those are some of the reasons why people shy away from the Nigerian stock market. Another thing is just the transparency of information. So if I wanted to find out all the different details today about Apple or about Microsoft, every single detail of how much they sold in this year, how much they sold 10 years ago, how much their debt is, how much, I know that I can trust that information. The information is readily available to anyone. I can track, I can understand where exactly I'm putting my money, how much they're putting into research, how much they're growing new products. All of those things are there. how many companies
Nigerian companies are
companies
open.
have all of those that you are even sure the information is right. So
true.
those are the different things that affect, you know, people investing in Nigerian shares. Is the ease of investing in it. It's the fact that inflation in the country is not helping matters. It's the fact that is the information readily available to understand, fully study those companies before I start to invest in them.
Okay.
So those are some of the things that make people run fast,
From
you know,
Nigerian
the other side away from
stocks.
Nigerian stock.
Okay, so we'll take a short break, and after the break, we'll be talking more about investing in Nigeria. Stay with us.
So this is 2023, the year where we make our money dreams come true. But that's not only mouth. You need to work hard this year, and it starts with investing right. I know I sound like a broken record. I talk about all of us investing. And this is Shola, by the way, your personal finance badass at Wealth Motley. Make sure you follow me on all platforms as much as possible, because I'll be giving you all the money gist, all the money info that you need to continue to grow this year. So starting with 2023, this is the year you need to invest. Warren Buffett told us that when everyone is fearful, that's the best time for investors to invest. And there is no time in the present couple of years that's more fearful than now. There's a recession looming, there's so much inflation, there's so much gist in the market. But this is the time that if you can't scrape together any single money, you should be investing it in your favorite stocks or your favorite ETFs. This is the time where you need to dam your resource as much as possible and find a way to safeguard yourself in the future. Your 10-year-old self, yourself in 10 years is going to be very grateful because you made that decision today. If you look at all of the indicators, everything is bad. And I know it sounds like a broken record when I say record, invest. Simple. It's because I understand that this is the time. And if you've been an investor before, you're probably wondering, I invested, my money is already down. My 10,000 is now 2,000. Yes, I understand. But find more to invest in this time, because now you're getting great companies at rock bottom bargain prices. So keep investing today, and you can keep doing. If you have to find a second hustle, find a way to ensure that you keep investing in this time. It's more important than ever in 2023.